taking care of anger. And this is a teacher who asked Thay, have you ever been able to calm down and to help a person who is completely enraged and exploding in anger at you?
Thay has been able to deal successfully with a number of people who get angry at Thay out of jealousy and wrong perceptions. And sometimes it takes a lot of time for a person to calm down and to transform. These people exist in the clergy also, and in ordinary society. And Thay's way is very simple: not to respond to attack or insult. Never reply to insult or to attack, even to explain. A complete silence. He does not try. He did not try to justify himself or do anything, because doing so may cause the other person to get angrier and so on. So breathing in and out and accept, and not to reply, not to react. And then they can do better also, because a few days later or a few months later, he can write a love letter to him or to her. And he has done that several times. And someone who betrayed you, who has caused you to suffer a lot, and to your community to suffer a lot. And yet you are able to write a nice letter to him, to her, to help him or her to suffer less. Sometimes it takes a time for that person to suffer less and to stop being angry. But it always brings effect. You know that in Vietnam we had a very beautiful community practice center called Prajna. There were about 400 young monastics living there and practicing. And they generated a lot of energy of harmony and brotherhood and peace. And so many young lay young people come and practice with us. It is up in a mountain area. And yet there were times when 5,000 young people came and participated in a retreat of 5 days or 6 days and get transformation. And it was quite a movement. The people were very enthusiastic. But in a country like Vietnam, that does not look safe for those who rule the country. They're afraid of something that is too strong. They are afraid that they cannot control. So there was an attempt to dismantle the practice center. And our young monks and nuns try to resist with compassion, non-violence, for more than 1 year and a half. And finally, we could no longer resist because they send violent people to our centers. They destroy, they burn, they attack. They cut the electricity, they cut the water. They shout, they insult. They organize hundreds of people to come and insult and to break and to destroy. And finally, we had to evacuate the place and went to a temple in the area to take refuge, but they still continue to press until we had to leave that place. Many of the young monks and nuns are now taking refuge in Thailand, Germany, France, America. And we were able to identify those who are who try to destroy the place. And Thay has sent words to them that we don't hate them because they may have been victims of wrong perceptions that can give rise to fear. And anger. And we have, disciples of Thay in Vietnam has sent books of Thay to them as a gift. It's possible to respond to violence and anger with love. And that is the way we always follow to respond, using compassion and understanding to respond to violence, misunderstanding, and so. During the time they organized the School of Youth for Social Service. We train hundreds of young people, dedicated young people, monastic and lay, to go to the countryside and organize to help victims of war and poor people to organize in terms of health, education, and economic development, and to improve the quality of life in the countryside. And many of us were suppressed, many of us were killed during service. Because during the war, we did not want to join one of the warring party. We want to accept both sides. We wanted reconciliation and peace rather than to continue the war. And that is why we are victims of the suppression by both sides. And we always respond with compassion. After they have killed a number of us, we organize a funeral ceremony and we declare that we do not hate those who have killed us, because we know that they are victims of wrong perceptions that has given rise to fear and suspicion. And we hope that they will look and understand us better. Our intention is not to harm them, only to help the people in the country, victims of war, orphans, and poor people. And in the beginning, the suppression, the violence continued. But later on, these actions of suppression begin to decrease. There is an effect, and that we have. That is what we have experienced in the decade that we practice and serve in Vietnam. I think the book written by Sister Chen Kong, Learning True Love, told a number of stories like that. You can read Learning True Love, and also in Sister Kang Hong wrote an article in my printed in my novel Novice, and you can read also the book The Novice, and to know a number of things like that. So using compassion, understanding to meet with violence and misunderstanding is a good practice that can bring result if you are patient enough in the practice. And some of the people in the police came to our retreats in Thailand and even in Plum Village to practice. That is a victory for both, for us and for them.